What's going on, and welcome to the Solo Shot. My name is Tom Vecchio. We have a 6-game MLB slate tonight. It locks at 7:05. As always, this is one of the many shows on the FanDuel Podcast Network. You can find that anywhere, whether it's iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. Make sure to give it a like, follow, or subscribe. That is greatly appreciated. You can follow me on Twitter at DFS_Tom. I will be back at 4 p.m. on our YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook page to take your questions for the MLB DFS Q&A at 4 p.m. So tune in there if you have any questions about tonight's slate. Before we hop into things, listen up, baseball fans. FanDuel is giving you an opportunity to get involved with daily fantasy with the MLB Home Run Challenge. Each day you can draft 3 players and you'll receive 1 point for every home run that they hit. Score 3 points for a share of the $2,000 prize pool. Score 6 points or more and you'll win a share of the $10,000 prize pool. All you have to do is head over to FanDuel today and draft your sluggers. Eligibility restrictions apply. Head over to FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app for more details. All right, so hopping into today's 6-game MLB slate. We have a few games earlier in the day, not focusing in on those, just the main slate again, locking at 7:05. Right now, the weather is looking great. No concerns. A few games in some domes and no concerns for the games outside. All the games are with 9 implied run totals or higher, so we could be in for some scoring. And also right now we have 5 teams with implied run totals sitting at 5.3 or higher. We also have no pitchers above $10,000 on this slate. So we are in a spot where we could see some very balanced lineup builds where you don't have to spend all the way up for pitching. You can fall somewhere in the mid-tier and you'll still have plenty of salary to get to those hitters that you want. Framber Valdez is the most expensive pitching option at $9,700, but I'm actually a bit more interested in Sonny Gray tonight at $9,300. Obviously, a bit of an up and down year in terms of dealing with injuries, but when he has pitched, he has looked very solid, coming in with a 29% strikeout rate this year. An 8.8% walk rate is a little bit higher than we'd like to see, but still has a very solid 3.61 Sierra and a 3.33 xFIP, coming in with a 47.8% ground ball rate and a 49.5% medium contact rate. So not only is he a ground ball pitcher that can limit the damage, he's also racking up the strikeouts, and that's exactly what we want to see from him when his salary is up there at $9,300. He is at home, in Cincinnati, which is a good hitter's park, but he's going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates, a team that we really should not be too worried about. Now, yes, the Pirates don't strike out a whole lot, despite not being a good team. The Pirates don't actually waste a whole lot of opportunities at the plate. The Pirates come in with a 21.8% strikeout rate this season versus right-handed pitching, which is 27th in the league. So they're actually very, very disciplined at the plate. But the Pirates come in with a 130 team ISO versus righties this season, which is dead last in the league. On top of that, the Pirates also have an 85 WRC plus versus righties, which is 27th in the league. So sure, they don't strike out a whole lot, but this is a spot where we could see Sonny Gray cruise through 6 or 7 innings, really only give up 1 or 2 earned runs. Maybe he's not going to have 10 strikeouts, but he could easily be seeing 6, 7 strikeouts with very, very limited damage against. We also see the Pirates coming in with a 34.1% fly ball rate this year versus righties, which is 25th in the league. So the one thing that could potentially be bad for Sonny Gray being at home in AKA the Great American Small Park in Cincinnati, which we know is so prone to home runs, the Pirates don't generate a whole lot of fly ball. So it really should put Sonny Gray in a spot to be the #1 overall pitcher on tonight's slate, all things considered. I do think Framber Valdez is a very solid option, but we have seen him struggle with walks at times. We also do see, a slightly more dangerous lineup going up against Minnesota, and we do see Sonny Gray $400 cheaper. So I will take the $400 of savings. I will take the significantly easier matchup for Sonny Gray going up against the Pittsburgh Pirates compared to Valdez, who I do think is a solid pitcher, but he's going up against Minnesota, a lineup that still has a bit of power in their lineup. So that was one pitcher all the way up at the top. One pitcher all the way at the bottom. The cheapest pitcher on tonight's slate is Nestor Cortez for the New York Yankees. Now, he is getting another start in their rotation because both Garrett Cole and Jordan Montgomery are on the COVID protocol list. That's something we have to pay attention to. Cortez is $5,500. So immediately on a slate that I said that we have 5 teams that have implied run totals above 5.3, you really want to be looking to load up on some offenses tonight. And Nestor Cortez at $5,500 is a pitcher that will allow you to do so. He's at home at Yankee Stadium, and he's going up against the Seattle Mariners, a team that's certainly looking better as of late, but they still strike out a lot. Right now, Seattle comes in with a 27.0% strikeout rate versus left-handed pitching, which is the second worst in the league. Seattle is a very, very free-swinging team, and that should play into the hands of Nestor Cortez, who comes in with a 30.5% strikeout rate this year, which is actually the best on the slate. All pitchers, including all pitchers. Now, Cortez doesn't have the volume of innings pitched that Valdez or Sonny Gray does. He only has 32.2 this season, but he's still carrying the highest strikeout rate. So, of course, take that with a bit of a grain of salt just because his sample size is not as high. He comes in with a 3.29 Sierra, a 3.59 xFIP. He does have a 42.9% fly ball rate, which can be a little bit dangerous, of course, at a stadium like Yankee Stadium, which can be so prone to home runs, but he does have a very low 28.2% hard contact rate, mainly a medium contact rate pitcher at 47.4. Now, the question we'd all be asking for Nestor Cortez is how many innings will he be going? Because throughout the season, up until recently, he was just a reliever out of the pen, used in long innings, but he got this recent start against Tampa Bay where he went 5 innings and had 5 strikeouts with only 1 earned run, and he put up 27 FanDuel points, which is of course great to see when he's only $5,500. The question is, will he be going 4? Are they just going to use him as an opener for 2 innings, 3 innings, or will he be able to go 5, maybe 6 innings? That's something we can get some clarity on when it comes to the 4 p.m. Q&A show. If we get an update throughout the day from Aaron Boone, the Yankees manager, if they say they have a plan for him, they're willing to let him go a few extra innings. That will be important. We'll circle back at that for 4 p.m. Now, when it comes to the Seattle offense overall, like I said, they're striking out 27% of the time versus left-handed pitching this year. You can certainly be looking to attack that. Seattle is also carrying a 169 team ISO versus lefties. That is 17th in the league, obviously showing to be a very league average offense. And then we see Seattle sitting below league average, coming in 26th in the league with a 90 WRC plus versus lefties. So yes, this is a matchup we can look to attack. I think that we should see Nestor Cortez actually decently popular tonight, once we potentially get an update on his innings limit, due to the fact that we can load up on Houston tonight. They should be a very, very popular stack. We have Toronto on this slate as well, another stack you could be looking to load up on. And then, of course, the Yankees at home, also with an implied run total over 5. So you may want to spend up for Sonny Gray at $9,300, but also all the way at the bottom, Nestor Cortez, $5,500 is also a viable option tonight. Now we can be turning to Touki Toussaint at $8,500 for the Atlanta Braves. I'm going to say this right from the jump. He has a very small sample size this year, coming in with only 17 innings pitched this season. Now, he has looked very solid in some of these outings with a 28.2% strikeout rate. 17 innings, of course, in the grand scheme of things, is not a high strikeout rate. He did pitch a little bit in 2018, 2019, and 2020 in the majors. And throughout the entirety of his major league career, he's carrying a 24.8% strikeout rate. So he's showing to be a little bit higher this season than he has been historically. But I still think it's a pitcher worth trusting going up against the St. Louis Cardinals, an offense that we don't truly need to be too worried about overall. He comes in with a 3.25 Sierra, a 3.02 xFIP, a 52.4% ground ball rate, and a 60% medium contact rate. Again, a small 17-inning sample size, so we have to take this with another large grain of salt. But overall, the offense from the Cardinals is one that we should not be overly worried about because they are lacking power at times. They also have a predominantly right-handed lineup, so we should see some good splits for Toussaint here. If we look to St. Louis, they come in with a 151 team ISO versus righties. That is 23rd in the league. We look to their batted ball profile, which we absolutely want to be paying attention to. when it comes to the potential home runs, and they're actually top 10 in the league at a 38.1% fly ball rate. But I don't think we need to be too worried about that if Tucson can continue to keep the ball down. That's what will help him go further into the games. Now, yes, St. Louis doesn't strike out a whole lot versus righties. They're only striking out 22.1% of the time, which is 25th in the league. So we're dealing with a few things here, and ultimately Tucson is going to be one of my favorite tournament targets tonight. This is not going to be a safe option that you'd want to trust in cash games. Also due to the fact that some of the pitching options around him, Sonny Gray only being $800 more, I think is a significantly safer option. So I think we can be going to Tucson tonight if you want to mix things up when it comes to tournaments, because if that strikeout rate at 28.2% is going to be shining through, we could see him really push towards 7-8 strikeouts tonight, which would make him a great point per dollar play. So I'm looking to him as a tournament option tonight, and just a player to add to my player pool to be a bit different. I think Sonny Gray and Valdez are clearly the safer options, well ahead of him, but it's still a player I do want to be mixing into the player pool. And then if I'm looking to drop down, that's where Nestor Cortez would come in at $5,500. Really a good spread of things on tonight's slate when it comes to pitching. Despite it being only 6 games, there are a number of different options that you can be choosing from. We'll circle back to pitching as we close things out. But on to the stacks on tonight's slate. As I said, we have 5 offenses that have implied run totals sitting at 5.3 or higher. That's the Astros at 5.66, the Reds at 5.62, the White Sox at 5.47, the Yankees at 5.43, and the Blue Jays at 5.38. All of these teams have proven to be very, very strong offenses throughout the year. Really, no matter where you go on tonight's slate with any of these offenses, should put you in a good spot. I want to focus in on the Houston Astros. They are at home. They are massive minus 250 home favorites going up against the Minnesota Twins. Griffin Jax will be on the mound for the Minnesota Twins. Young pitcher for them. This is his first year in the majors. He has only pitched 26.2 innings. He comes in with a very low 19% strikeout rate, a 9.5% walk rate. He's allowing 2.36 home runs per 9. He's allowing a 53.7% fly ball rate, only a 33.7% hard contact rate, and he has a 5.09 SIERA and a 5.69 xFIP. Of course, again, another pitcher with a small sample size, but it's really what we should be seeing from him. Ultimately, that's what I'm expecting. Not a high strikeout rate pitcher, a pitcher that is seemingly prone to home runs. And he's allowing 3.45 home runs per 9 specifically against lefties. Obviously, it's a bit lower overall, but 3.45 against righties. It's much lower lefties versus lefties. It's at 0.82, which is why it's lower overall. So I'm going to be looking to the righties for Houston, and they have plenty of power when it comes to the righties. This is not to say I'm not going to be interested in Kyle Tucker or Yordan Alvarez, who both come in with ISOs above 260 versus righties this season. Of course, they're great home run hitters, but really Altuve, Correa, I think should be very, very solid options and kind of the core options when it comes to stacking Houston. Yuli Gurriel has been dealing with a neck injury for Houston. He's been out a couple games. If he's going to be in the lineup, I think he's a very solid addition as well. I think you could be firmly looking to him. So really, no matter where you go with the Houston lineup, whether you look to add in some lefties with Kyle Tucker and Yordan Alvarez, you look to go to the righties with Altuve, Correa. If we see Gurriel back in the lineup, I think that's fine. If you want to drop down and go with a bit of a wraparound stack, once we get their confirmed lineup, of course, adding in Martin Maldonado, their catcher, should be an option that's flying under the radar due to the fact that you don't have to be rostering catchers on FanDuel, a player that you can always use to get some exposure to Houston while not paying the higher salaries like Yordan, like Carlos Correa, like Jose Altuve, whoever it might be. So that is certainly an option. I think Houston should end up as one of, if not the most popular teams on tonight's slate. Now, I think Cincinnati's in a fantastic spot tonight, 5.62 implied run total. Don't want to touch on them specifically. I think that they are very, very clear, especially at home in that great hitter's park. I want to be going right back to Toronto. I was big on Toronto last night. We should be seeing Toronto as another viable option tonight. We should also be seeing Cleveland as an option tonight. So these are the two stacks that I want to be talking about. Toronto and Cleveland, they're going head to head. I like them both individually, and I like them both for a game stack tonight. Let's start off with the visiting Indians, and then we'll go to the home Toronto Blue Jays. We spoke about the Blue Jays a bit yesterday. So the Indians are facing Ross Stripling tonight. Ross Stripling is a pitcher that is very, very home run prone and one you should be excited to attack anytime he is on the slate. He comes in with a modest 23.5% strikeout rate, a 7.2% walk rate. He's allowing 2.00 home runs per 9 overall this season. He has a 44.7% fly ball rate. He only has a 31% hard contact rate. He has a 4.17 SIERA and a 4.43 xFIP. We look to Ross Stripling's splits this year. He's actually worse versus righties, allowing 2.26 home runs per 9, a little bit worse versus righties. He's also allowing a higher 45.2% fly ball rate, specifically versus righties. Also with an 18.3% home run to fly ball ratio. So I think we can be looking to attack Ross Stripling. We know that the Indians do have some power in their lineup, namely led by Franmil Reyes with a 348 ISO versus righties, and then Jose Ramirez with a 312 ISO versus righties. I think both of those hitters are the key members of an Indian stack of where you'd want to be going if you're looking to stack up the Indians or if you're looking to do this as a bit of a game stack. Now, they have changed up their lineup. They made a few trades, et cetera, but I also think you can be adding in Bobby Bradley into their lineup with a 247 ISO versus right-handed pitching. Those are the three main hitters that I'm going to for the Indians. Now, Jose Ramirez is $3,900. Franmil Reyes is $3,600. Those are the only two hitters that they have on their entire roster that are above $3,000. We then look to Ahmed Rosario, Miles Straw, Bobby Bradley, or Harold Ramirez, who are all $3,000 and below, of course, coming in with varying amounts of power. But the Indians make sense in terms of a secondary stack tonight if everyone's going to be on board with the Yankees or the Reds or Houston or whoever it might be. The Indians make sense as a bit of a secondary stack because we need just a little bit of salary relief if we're looking to pay up for some of these higher price stacks. So at this point, you might have to fade either Jose Ramirez or Franmil Reyes just because you don't have the salary to get them all in your lineups. Then you could look to add in a Bobby Bradley or Harold Ramirez just to round out the Indian stack overall. So I'll certainly be looking to attack Ross Stripling, who is allowing over 2 home runs per 9 to righties specifically, and then he's allowing 1.60 home runs per 9 to lefties. Not a high strikeout pitcher, a pitcher that struggles with walks a little bit, a pitcher that gives up too many fly balls. That is what we want to be seeing. That is what is going to be granting us plenty of tournament upside. Now, on the other side, Tristan Mckenzie is going to be starting for the Cleveland Indians, a pitcher that comes in with a very solid 28.5% strikeout rate this year. He flashed a high 33% strikeout rate last year when he made his MLB debut, but this year he is struggling mightily when it comes to the walks. He has a 16.2% walk rate, which is unheard of bad. It is absolutely terrible. And allowing runners on, specifically in a lineup like Toronto, is never going to end well. With the power that they have in their lineup, that is going to can turn bad for Mckenzie very, very quickly, combined with a 51.3% fly ball rate, allowing 1.99 home runs per 9 this season. So yes, he has plenty of gas on the mound with that 28.5% strikeout rate. But if he's walking hitters and then allowing fly balls to a lineup like Toronto, we could see exactly what they did last night and even more, see them push past 10 runs, providing plenty of upside with literally every hitter in their lineup. George Springer with a 388 ISO versus righties. Vlad Guerrero with a 366 ISO. Marcus Semien with a 249 ISO. Randall Grichuk with a 188 ISO. Bo Bichette with a 187 ISO. The list goes on and on, whether you want to add it to Teoscar Hernandez or Lourdes Gurriel. It does not matter. The Blue Jays bring plenty of upside tonight, just as they did last night. Now, yes, the salaries on the Blue Jays are much more expensive compared to the Indians. Vlad Guerrero is $4,600, George Springer is $42, Semien is $41, and Bo Bichette is $41. This is what we were dealing with last night, but ultimately, Toronto is in a great spot going up against Tristan Mckenzie. So this is why I said I do like the Indians because I don't think that they're going to be as popular as the Blue Jays, and they're going up against Ross Stripling, who's allowing too many home runs, not a big strikeout pitcher. I like the Blue Jays because they're in a phenomenal spot against Mckenzie, who is walking way, way too many hitters with a 16.2% walk rate this year, allowing 1.99 home runs per 9. That combination of too many walks, too many fly balls is a deadly combination for a pitcher. And when I see that going up against the lineup with Toronto, that is just all signs pointing to Toronto for stacking them. And then I want this as a game stack. Like I said, the home run potential on both sides is very, very strong. So going to both the Indians and the Blue Jays are two of my favorite stacks tonight. Of course, looking to add in plenty of shares of the Reds or the Astros or the Yankees or whoever it might be. Those should be some of the chalkiest stacks on tonight's slate. Now, to circle back for the final three things, just to mention one pitcher, one extra stack, and then I'll give a home run call now. I'll also be looking at a home run call for at the 4 p.m. Q&A show. Dallas Kykel at $7,000 for the Chicago White Sox. He's coming off a couple rougher starts recently, 5 and 4 earned runs in these two most recent starts. We know that Dallas Kykel isn't a big strikeout pitcher. He's only $7,000. This is nothing new. If you've been playing MLB, DFS, or fantasy baseball for a number of seasons, we know that Dallas Kykel isn't a big strikeout pitcher. We get that. He's coming in with a 14.6% strikeout rate this season. Although we did see the Kansas City Royals put up a number of runs last night against Lucas Giolito, I still think that we can be looking to attack this Royals lineup overall. They're still not the strongest lineup. So normally, Dallas Kykel isn't the profile of a pitcher that I'm normally looking to roster too often. A pitcher that does not have a high strikeout rate, a pitcher that is going to have a limited ceiling at times. You know, ultimately what we'd be looking for from Dallas Kykel is for him to go 6 innings, get the quality start points, and get the win points potentially. Now, I do think that is in play tonight. We do see the White Sox as minus 210 home favorites going up against this Royals lineup. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking for Dallas Kykel to hopefully go 6 innings, not have 4, 5, 6 earned runs as we've seen from him in a couple of these recent starts, and then kind of shut down this Royals team who, yes, they did score a number of runs yesterday, but I'm going to be willing to go right back to attacking them tonight. We look to the Royals overall, and sure, they're not striking out a whole lot, only 21.9% versus lefties this year, which is 23rd in the league. But that's not what I'm here for when it comes to rostering Dallas Kykel. I'm here because we know that they are an average offense or below average offense overall, coming in with a 97 WRC plus this season versus lefties, which is 19th in the league. Dallas Kykel excels at keeping the balls down, and that's what we want to be seeing from him going up against Kansas City, which right now they are generating a 45.5% ground ball rate, which is the 8th worst in the league. They're generating the 8th most ground balls, which is, of course, not what you want to be seeing as an offense. You want to be elevating the ball, and they are actually keeping the ball down. So the matchup lines up a bit for Dallas Kykel to keep the ball down against Kansas City, hopefully limit that damage, and he's only $7,000. So him pushing towards 35 or 40 FanDuel points is something that we know he can do. It really comes down to him limiting the damage, picking up the quality start points, and picking up the win, which I do think is in play in this matchup against Kansas City. Hopefully their offense gets going tonight, and we can see Dallas Kykel cruise through 6 innings. Another offense, I guess I'll touch on the Reds a little bit. I think that this is an absolutely unbelievable spot for them. They're at home. We potentially could see Nick Castellanos activated from the IL. There was potential he could have been activated yesterday. Of course, he makes their lineup that much stronger. But even without him, going to Joey Votto, Jesse Winker, Eugenio Suarez, whoever it might be for the Reds, offer plenty of home run upside, especially at that park at home, aka the Great American Small Park, which we know offers plenty of home run upside. They will be going up against Will Crow for the Pittsburgh Pirates, a young pitcher who also does not have the largest sample size, 71.2 innings this season. It's his first full year in the majors. He's allowing 1.88 home runs per 9, has a low 20.8% strikeout rate, and an 11% walk rate. This should be nothing new, targeting pitchers that don't strike a whole lot of people out, also walk hitters too much. and then allowed way too many home runs. So the Reds, I'll touch on them more on the 4 p.m. Q&A, but I do think that they are in a fantastic spot tonight. We should be looking to them very, very confidently in the same tier as Houston, in the same tier as Toronto, in the same tier as the Yankees. Those really should be four of the most popular teams on tonight's slate. And then finally, the home run call on tonight's slate. This should not be a surprise, but it's going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. going up against Tristan Mckenzie. As I said, Mckenzie is allowing far too many home runs this season. He's also allowing far too many fly balls. So we look to Vlad Guerrero Jr. this year, coming in with a 386 ISO versus righties, as I said. Absolutely phenomenal. We look to his batted ball profile, and it's exactly what we want to be seeing versus righties, with a 39.4% fly ball rate and a 44.9% hard contact rate, with a massive 31.2% home run to fly ball ratio. When the ball gets in the air, it is going for a home run a great percentage of the time for Vlad Guerrero Jr. So yes, the home run call, or the first home run call for today, is going to be Vlad Guerrero Jr. I'll give another home run call at the 4 p.m. Q&A. This slate is shaping up to have plenty of offense because we have some very, very strong stacks we could be going to for the Yankees, for Toronto, for Cincinnati, for Houston. And then we could potentially be looking to a bit of an under-the-radar stack with Cleveland, who is in a good spot going up against Ross Stripling. All right, so that does it for today's podcast. I will be back at 4 p.m. for the Q&A on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook page. You can hit me with any questions you have there. As always, this is one of the many shows on the FanDuel Podcast Network. You can find that anywhere, whether it's iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play. Make sure to give it a like, follow, or subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at DFS_Tom. Until next time, good luck in your contests.